thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Blood Sisterz with a Z podcast.
Welcome. Come on.
Welcome.
It has been one hell of a ride so far. And as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, my lovely ladies, my powerhouses.
Christina Amata.
Rachel Shuri.
Yeah. Now, before you continue, hit pause. Rachel broke her microphone again, guys. Anytime you hear that, that's my girl, Rachel. Now, before you continue listening, make sure you hit pause, like, comment, and subscribe to our channels on whatever platform you are listening to us on. If it is on YouTube, be sure to hit the notification bell. And now,
Ding.
ding,
Ding,
dong.
ding, 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 ding.
Now, we
Ding,
are
ding, ding.
also on YouTube, Spotify, Model. What else are we on?
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Breaker. I don't know if I already said Breaker, but there's a bunch of them.
Okay, cool.
All right.
We'll find a way to get that in one place for y'all, so you can know where all you can listen to us on. We're expanding.
Wherever podcasts are available.
Yeah.
We out here.
Out here.
International.
Okay. So share, especially if you're following us on our Facebook page under Blood Sisterz with a Z. Share all content and force your friends to like our pages.
Yup.
too.
I like how you said enforce.
Force your friends.
Yup.
Okay. Now, this is episode 6.
Six.
Right? Oh, 6 episodes in of season 1. And I'm thinking we're going to do 10 episodes for this season.
Per season.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Okay.
So we only got 4 more left for this season. And for that next season, season 2, we will be doing live human sacrifices. So make sure you check back in for season 2.
Rachel's like, I need to tell HR about this.
Who getting sacrificed first?
Not y'all.
Oh.
We'll find somebody.
We'll find like the scum of the earth to sacrifice.
And we'll be easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Rachel look a little worried. It's okay, baby. Process it. I know I just sprung that on you.
You just stab him in the heart. It's fine.
Yo, we going to
quick.
jail. What the hell?
All right, guys. So for today is a very special episode for us all because it hits really close to home. Now, as y'all know, we are all from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of beer, brats, cheese, and murder.
Murder, yes.
Murder and lots of drinking.
Yeah.
I like the drinking part.
Yeah,
I like the murder
same.
and drinking.
Well, I like the murder and then the drinking after.
Period.
Yeah.
Haunted shit.
Period.
Drinking. Oh.
I mean, that's what our pictures say that we do. We drink and
should.
murder people.
Yeah, when we get some like cameras so we can do some live shows, we should totally take a camera and take ourselves to like a haunted house or a haunted place.
Absolutely.
We got to get drunk first.
Yeah, get drunk and go to a
Drunk
haunted
to go
place.
to haunted. Yes. I'm very
Yeah.
violent, though. Like, I feel like if I'm drunk, my reflex might kick in.
They might come after you.
I
and
just
you'll
went to a
start
haunted
beating
house.
them.
What was it?
That's fine.
Last weekend, 2 weekends ago. It was so weak.
It's good content.
Really?
Yes, my friend said I walked through there like it was a mall.
Oh, damn.
It damn near was. I mean, the graphics was nice. I like the props and stuff. That was nice. But I was expecting more.
Did anyone jump out at you?
I mean, yeah, it was a few characters, but it wasn't.
Maybe
Maybe
it was
since doing this
COVID safe.
show, maybe I'm just my tolerance is a little high. My tolerance is high for every damn thing. It seemed like so.
That's good.
So I need to go to a haunted house where they can actually kidnap my ass.
Yeah, not me.
There are some haunted houses like that where you have to sign a waiver
Yeah, I need to sign the
Yeah.
waiver.
and they'll actually like waterboard you and shit.
Yeah, I need to sign the waiver
Yeah.
because it's scaring me hell. What did I pay you $40 for?
That's a lot of money for a haunted
Just
house.
saying. I mean, it wasn't $40.
Okay,
but
good. I'm going to say.
It was close enough. Yeah.
Chicken and wing money. So today, guys, back on track. Today, we are talking about Wisconsin's own Edward Theodore Gein, a.k.a. the Butcher of Plainfield, a.k.a. the Plainfield Ghoul. Okay? Now, Plainfield, Wisconsin
Right.
is about 2 hours from Milwaukee. Have either of you ladies ever been to Plainfield?
I have not because it's a dead wasteland.
Ooh.
No, I've never
Just
been.
kidding.
Oh,
But
shit.
no, I really don't know much about that area. I know at the time it was kind of described as the great dead heart of Wisconsin.
Holy shit. Not the Great Dead Heart.
Great dead heart.
Damn, that's
Damn.
dark. So I mean, I did look at the the census, and it said in 2010 they had a population of 897 with a 0.3% African American population. So of course I've never been to Plainfield, Wisconsin. A lot of us have never been.
0.3.
0.3 was
So
the
what?
African American population.
One person lived there?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
one.
And I think it was something like 18% for like Hispanic, and they lumped it in together. Like it wasn't just it's like Hispanic and others. We got 18%.
Damn.
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
So we've never been to
Well,
Plainfield.
I guess we're not going to move to Plainfield.
Probably not. No time
Okay.
soon.
No.
No time ever.
So Gein was born in La Crosse County, Wisconsin on August 27th, 1906. He was born to Augusta Wilhelmine Gein and George Philip Gein. He was the youngest of two and had an older brother named Henry George Gein. Now, like a lot of our cases that we covered, Papa Gein was an alcoholic. Mama Gein didn't respect him as he could not keep a job, and this forced her to step up and kind of be like the head of the household and the dominating parent. So she would always be preaching about sins and lust and carnal desires and drinking. She was a real aggressive religious Lutheran woman who married an alcoholic. So we can imagine how beautiful their union was, right?
Beautiful in the form of a car crash.
Exactly. So she told her sons that all women, not her, of course, because we know she's a saint, are promiscuous harlots and instruments of the devil who they should never trust and let their guards down. Now, George, the father, he was a carpenter, a tanner, a horrible insurance salesman, and he even owned a local grocery store. Around 1915, his father sold the grocery store as it was not doing well, and the mom decided to move the family to an isolated farm that sat on 155 acres, 6 miles outside of Plainfield Village. Now, Augusta, as the controlling woman that she was, she controlled all the visitors that the family would get. And Ed and his brother were only allowed to leave the home to attend school. So this meant that they were not able to hang out with their friends, no dates, not much interacting with their peers at all. Now, although this made Ed a bit socially awkward and very shy, he did very well in school, especially when it came to reading. This could be because his mom forced the boys to read from the Bible every afternoon after they would rush home to help with the household chores. She had to pick the verses, though, was the only rule, right? So they usually were from the Old Testament, and they centered around death, murder, and divine retribution. Now, y'all remember how last week you talked about how Brother Bender, he used to just randomly laugh and shit?
Yeah.
Eddie G was another random
He was
laugher.
the same way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I read that.
So his classmates and teachers thought that it was strange. They said it seemed like he was always laughing at his own jokes or a joke that only he could hear.
Probably was.
Right, and I don't see
Right.
that as being weird, though.
That's not weird. That's not
I
weird.
would see that
I
as like
talk
a
to myself
creative
all the
kid.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on in his head.
Need an outlet for it. So if something is funny and I think of it, I should be able to laugh without y'all being like, this is what she ain't too.
Right. Instead of
Ain't
being
too
like,
bright.
that kid's weird, and you can be like, hey, why don't you share with us what
Right,
you were
what you
thinking
laughing
about?
at, girl?
Right.
I wanna
I've
laugh.
always it's not weird to laugh.
Nope,
It's not. That's
exactly.
not weird.
So Mama Augusta, she wouldn't allow the boys to make friends, as I said, and whenever they did, they would get punished for it. So her motivation for moving the family to another city was in hopes that Papa Gein would get his shit together. So while he did for a while, shortly after they arrived, he was back to his old ways. And on April Fool's Day in 1940, George Gein died of heart failure due to his alcoholism at the age of 66. So Mama Augusta, she went in even hard now after this point to her boys on how drinking was a sin, and she forbid them from dating as she feared women would take them away from her and they would leave her abandoned to run the farm alone. The boys then stepped up and started doing small jobs around the town to help take care of the family. So Ed, he worked as a handyman and babysitter. His brother mainly worked as a handyman, Brother Henry.
Okay.
So Ed preferred children over adults, like most of us. And so that's why he started actually babysitting on the side, too. So around town now, the Gein boys, they're getting a good reputation. They work hard, they skilled handymen, and they do not drink. So the town people like, oh, we like these Gein boys. Okay.
That's true.
So Henry, big bro, he starts dating one of those harlots that mama been warning him about.
Not the harlot.
Not the harlot. Now this heifer, she was divorced with 2 kids, right?
This heifer.
She had 2 kids and she's divorced. So the mom, of course, she's not happy about this. But I couldn't exactly find out like much information because I'm pretty sure they had like some explosive fights about her, but I couldn't find any accounts on like what happened when he told her. So Ed never really like I guess told that story, but I would have loved to be the fly on the wall for that.
Right.
So this entire time, Ed's growing up, he's becoming more and more obsessed and devoted to his mom. While Henry himself, he's like, nah, bruh. Something don't feel right. Mama not all the way there. Like, why she keep trying to stop us from dating and just having a life outside of her? So Ed's brother, Henry, wants to move out and leave. But he's afraid to leave Ed alone with his mama because he sees that Ed's kind of becoming a little obsessed, right? So Ed and his brother they've always been close, but Ed does not appreciate the way Big Bro's starting to talk about mama. So he loves his brother still, but Big Bro like, Mama not right. And Ed like, no, Mama great. Mama's amazing. What are you talking about?
Mama.
Right. So on May 16th, 1944, Henry and Ed are burning marsh vegetation at the farm. And the fire gets kind of crazy and kind of gets away from them, right? So the fire department gets there. They help Ed put the fire out, but then Ed becomes frantic because he can't find Henry. So Ed leads the search party, and they go out and they looking for missing Henry. Henry is found lying face down, not burned by the fire. And they rule his death an accident from asphyxiation, and the coroner decides no further investigation is needed. So he's buried without an autopsy at the age of 43.
He was just thinking about moving out at the age of 43. I'm
Right.
just saying. But
At 43.
that is,
I mean, their mother
yeah, she
straight up
definitely
brainwashed her.
inhibited
She,
their
right,
growth.
she
Yep.
controlled them. Yeah.
At 43, he's like, I think it's time for me to be a man. So he's telling Ed all this stuff. So then later it was suspected that Ed actually killed his brothers. And some reports actually say that Henry had bruises on his head. So we can kind of assume that Ed had something to do with
Ed
it.
also took
Maybe.
the police straight
To the body.
his brother's body. Even though he supposedly didn't know what happened, didn't know where he was.
Yep.
He took the
Straight to the
police
body.
straight to the body.
Yep.
If you ask me, Gein did it.
He probably started the fire just as a reason.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
to
he
get them
conked him
there.
over the head so he would pass out. And
He did it. I'm saying if you ask me. I'm not saying that's a fact, everyone. Please don't quote me. I'm just saying.
yeah,
He did it.
probably to protect his mother's honor.
He was
Yep.
he was trying to protect his mama.
And also at this time too, I did read that Ed, like he never wanted. I seen this one place. Who knows how accurate it is? But he never wanted to see the disappointment in his mom's eyes when his brother came back and told him she was dating one of these nasty women. So he probably was like, "You not about to break mama heart by leaving the house with this harlot." And also he was obsessed with his mama, so he probably wanted her all to himself too.
That's true. He
Yeah.
was probably like, well, if he's,
But he had
it's a
supposedly had
win-win.
gotten into it with his mother, or they had some. They didn't. She didn't like what he said, or that he didn't like what she said. They had some words, and Ed did not like what his brother said.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, he's dead. Sound like some Nanny Doss stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, you want to talk shit? Okay.
It's probably a win-win situation for him. On the one hand, you know, he gets his mom to himself. On the other hand, mom never has to know about his life and what he was planning to do. So
Yeah.
he keeps her in her little
Box.
cage of holy whatever it is.
Craziness.
Holy craziness.
Right. Now, shortly after Henry's body was discovered, Mama Augusta had a stroke. And Eddie G is, of course, there to wait on her hand and foot. So this entire time, he's still forbidden from dating. So he can only dream of women and what it must feel like to touch one, okay? Now, Ed is about 38 years old at this time and still crazy shy around women. So there's one story where Augusta and Ed went to visit a man named Smith to get some straw. Ed says his mom saw Smith beat a small dog to death, but that did not bother her. She was more bothered by the woman inside of the home who came out yelling at the man to stop beating the dog. Augusta told Ed she was Smith's harlot and had no business there since she was not married to him. So here we have a woman who hates women, and I'm so glad she didn't have daughters, because could you imagine the trauma?
Right, girl.
They'd be worse than Ed Gein.
Ooh, yes. So you have a woman who's so obsessed with hating women that she sees this man beat this dog, and she's like, I don't care about that. But who this hoe running out your house talking?
That
I don't see
is
no wedding
weird.
ring
They're
on her
not
hand.
married. Who's that? Maybe it's his cousin, bitch. Shut up.
Exactly.
But that's weird, though. Why do you feel like that? Why do you care more about the dog
yeah,
than this human?
it's messed up.
Like, she cares more about the dog, and she's just like, no, beat the woman.
Right. Well, there is light at the end of this tunnel. Oh, this sounds dark. I shouldn't have said that. But this breath of fresh air, she ends up suffering a second stroke. Sorry, I shouldn't have said light at the end of the tunnel. She suffers.
There's darkness at the end of the dark.
Right, yeah, my bad. Oops, sorry about that, guys. She suffers a second stroke, unfortunately, and she dies on December 29th, 1945.
Oh, bless her heart.
Bless her heart. At the age of 67, about a year, like 19 months after the death of Henry, the big brother. Now, Ed's left. He's feeling all alone in this room, in this world. The only woman he'd ever loved has now been taken from him. And I seen one report that actually said that she was the love of his life. Mm-hmm. Just a sick way to think of your mother.
For your mother, right?
Yeah, fucking wolf.
Love of your life. So he decided to actually stay in the farmhouse, and he closed off every part of the house except for the kitchen and a small side room where he slept. Now, his reason for doing this, he closed off the upstairs rooms and the rooms that his mother would frequent because they were sacred to him. So the upstairs was clean, but the downstairs, the rest of the house was pretty much just trashed. He left her room the exact way it was when she died. So he continues to do these odd jobs around town to support himself. And when times really get tough, he sold 80 acres of land that Henry had purchased years before. Now, at this time, he's obsessed with true crime magazines that feature stories of murdered women. He also develops an interest in anatomy books, and he loves magazines that showcase mutilation, cannibalism, and Nazi atrocities. So one night, he's all riled up, right? He can't take it anymore. He about to explode. He's like, all right, I got to find something to do. I'm going to head to the one place where I know there's going to be women that I will not be so deathly shy around. So he drove to the outskirts where Plainfield Cemetery was, and he had heard a local woman who he had fancied the entire time. She had recently been buried. So he dug her up, filled the grave back again so that no one would know he took her, and he took the corpse back to his farmhouse. He removed the clothing from the corpse and put it onto a meat hook. He later denied having sex with the body, claiming that it smelled too bad. So once the body was on the meat hooks, he would disembowel it and remove what he called trophies, carefully slicing pieces that he could actually preserve. His favorite part was the vagina, and we're not going to go all into detail because we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Pretty much coming up now.
Another thing.
That just made my vagina hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's just a little bit of how he got started on that road to the grave robbing.
Yeah, that just made my vagina hurt. Well, while my vagina's hurting, I'm going to tell you what else he did. December 8th, 1954, a Plainfield tavern owner by the name of Mary Hogan came up missing. However, before she came up missing, people knew about Ed being at her bar. Mm-hmm. Okay? Let's fast forward a little bit. Keep that in mind. Keep Mary Hogan in your mind, okay?
Got it.
November 15th, 1957, Ed goes into the International Harvest Products shop to inquire about some antifreeze, okay? He goes back to the shop the next day. He kills Miss Bernice Worden, the woman that works there, the woman that owns this product shop. Her son was there with her when Ed came in inquiring about this antifreeze. Her son just so happened to be a deputy. Okay? Her son's name is Frank. So when Bernice came up missing, and her store was closed. So I'm going to assume that Ed closed the store, like locked the doors or whatever. I'm going to assume that's what he did because that's what I read in reports, that the store was closed and people were wondering why the store was closed.
Right.
You know, it's a small town. Why is the store closed?
So it was actually the first day of hunting season, and everyone just assumed
November
that it was
16th.
closed because it was the first day of hunting season. Maybe she was out hunting. Maybe Frank was definitely out hunting. I just figured the whole town was kind of closed that day.
Right. Later on in that day, they were wondering, like, why was it? I guess maybe they needed products. Who knows? This is
Sure.
some shop,
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
probably
in,
like,
in
let
a
me
small
stop
town.
over there
Who
before.
knows, like, what they
Get some
actually
duct tape.
needed.
Right.
Right. Ain't no telling. But when Deputy Worden realized that his mom was gone, his mom was missing, like he didn't know where she was. He went on in the store to figure it out. And there he see that there's blood on the floor. The register is gone. Okay, there's things missing. Okay, so they rule it out as a robbery, and something's wrong with his mom. So they saw a receipt on the counter that was written out to Eddie Gein, and it was for the antifreeze. It was the last sale of the day. So since it was the last sale of the day, well, let's go talk to Ed.
Last one to see her alive, or
Yeah.
at least here. We don't know if she's dead yet.
Exactly. Let's go see. So let's go see where Ed is. Let's go talk to Ed. They could not find Ed. They went to his place twice. Okay, and then they just decided, okay, we just gonna go on in Ed's house. So they enter Ed's house through the shed, or what they would call the summer kitchen. And as soon as they walk in, guess what they see? Miss Worden's body is hanging upside down. Ankles are lashed to a wooden crossbeam. She was split from her vagina to her sternum, and she was like split open. They say dressed like a deer. So she was like ready to be cooked, ready to be dismantled.
Right.
This man literally cut this woman open and getting her ready. And I almost wanted to like because Ed was not a hunter. So is this what you do? Since this is the beginning of haunting season, you go in this place and you kill this woman or whatever, and then you cut her open like she's the deer.
They also had a farm too, so I imagine he was kind of probably used to slaughtering animals at least. Maybe that's where he got the
I was
experience.
just to say maybe that's what he saw as a younger kid, like how they slaughter a pig. You know, they take all the entrails out, they empty it out. It's probably what he was used to and how he knew
Well, maybe
how
they
to
kept
clean
saying,
a body and get everything out of
feel
there.
dressed like a deer because it was, deer hunting season.
Yep.
Of course, we're in
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
It's always deer hunting.
So
season
not
here.
only did they see that they find Miss Bernice's body hung upside down and cut open, they find all kinds of other gory stuff. Now, hold on to your chair or your hat, whatever you want to hold on to, your drink,
Boobies.
your boobies,
Got him.
Holding on.
your ass.
Happy Breast Cancer Awareness Month, by the way, ladies. But anyway, proceed.
Hold on to everything. Because the police found all kinds of stuff in Ed Gein's house. For instance, they found human skulls like attached to the post of his bed. They found furniture like chairs and lamps made of human skin and bones. That made me quiver a little bit. He would skin the skulls, okay, and then make masks out of them and actually wear them. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. He would take the skull and like cut the skull and then make like soup bowls out of the skull.
Yeah.
Christina, that's not cool.
No, I was gonna add
Your
something.
face is like, yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Because apparently he like lived on pork and beans. Like that was the one thing that he ate all the time. So I'm just sitting here imagining Ed Gein eating his can of pork and beans out of a skull. Like
Every
he's just
night.
living the dream, dog. Yeah. The skull was for his pork and beans.
Just couldn't go buy a bowl. Like,
He's
If you get it from a grave for
Well,
free.
no, that's what he do. He goes shopping in the damn graveyards.
Yep.
And like,
He went to
I
3
want
of 'em.
this body. We can use that for pork and beans. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. There was numerous jars of organs. There was jars of organs around the house. Like he decorated his house with organs, and there was organs in the refrigerator too. He wanted something to be fresh. There was a belt of breast hanging from it. I also read that there was a belt of nipples. So I'm not sure if people if they just want to say his breast or the nipples.
it was nipples.
It was
yeah.
nipple belt.
Say it was like
Nipple belt.
Okay.
He just straight up like cut the nipples off and made a
Nipple belt.
put them all together into a belt.
I'm disgusted. Nipples, the whole breast, you nasty. Period. He made an entire suit of skin with a vest of breast attached to the suit. So it was probably like two different bodies.
Yeah.
He had gloves made of skin. I actually saw pictures of that. It actually looked a little cool. I'm so
They
sorry.
called it his work gloves.
Ah! Ah!
Yeah.
He made
really
human
got
skin
crafty.
work gloves.
Yeah.
But the gloves.
Why
do
would you
like
wear gloves when you could just have another set of skin?
Right.
Okay, the gloves. He made leggings. Like
Yep.
leggings. You are way too impressed with this nasty ass man, Christina.
He's very innovative.
I'm just
You are just way too impressed.
I just think that he was very crafty with what he had.
Oh,
Not saying that it was
crafty
a
my
great
ass.
thing.
I'm a crafter. I craft.
Right.
That ain't crafty. That's just disgusting.
You
try
don't
to make
craft
some
until you
leggings.
make some work gloves, some skin. Okay, you thought you was a crafter. Ed Gein showing you what a crafter is. Okay,
Yeah, for real, collage artist. Okay, there was also a heart inside of a skillet on the stove, and Tess proves that that heart belonged to Bernice Worden. Okay, 4 human noses, 2 sets of lips, a collection of female genitals. 2 of the vulvas in the collection belonged to teenage girls, and authorities concluded that he likely murdered those girls.
Wait, what?
Dang.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Remember when I kept telling you that I will find a list here? It was so many lists of what he did. Okay, and then to conclude my list, on November 29th, deputies found more bones buried in the trench on Ed's farm. One skull, listen to this, had a gold tooth, and it was believed to be a skull of a man. Now, even though it wasn't in Ed's, characteristics, I guess, to kill men, that skull belonged to a man, and they believe that maybe the skull belonged to either Victor Bunk Travis, he was 42, or his friend Ray. They were friends, and they disappeared in a car, and they were at a bar, the local bar in Plainfield, and just no one knows where they are. And it was told, or maybe Ed did something with these men, but when I read that, they found a man's skull, like maybe it was Victor or Ray, like who
With gold
knows?
tooth.
With
Yeah.
the gold tooth.
I'm assuming it was Ray. Ray sounded like he had a gold tooth.
Ray.
Big Daddy Ray had a gold tooth.
Ray with the gold
It
tooth.
probably was. So during the time where Ed was digging up these graves, because this is where he got all of his possessions, all of his trophies, as
Right.
you would say. He got them from graves, and he would dig up these graves. He would actually learn about these older women that he thought favored his mother, and they would be like around her age. He would go to their funeral, to their gravesite, and dig their body up like the day that they are actually buried. He would go dig them up.
So
The
it's fresh.
soil was still fresh. It
Super
still looked like
fresh.
it had been dug up, so he could go in there, he could dig them up, and he
Put it
could
right
put
back on
everything back. It would look like they were just freshly buried. No one would know the wiser.
So according to Ed, he went to at least 40 cemeteries. And those cemeteries include, I'm not going to name all 40. You ain't got to hold on to your hats about that. But Plainfield Cemetery, Spiritland Cemetery, and Portage County, Spiritland Cemetery in Portage County, and the Hancock Cemetery in the town of Hancock. And he frequently visited these cemeteries, and according to him, he went at least 40 times, maybe more than that. Who knows? It's Ed's crazy ass. But he said that he was in a daze when he would go to these grave sites or the cemeteries, and a lot of the times he would come out of this daze or haze and just go back home. Some of the bodies he dug up, he said he actually put back because he felt guilty. So that's what makes me believe that he's not all the way effing crazy, because if you felt guilty, then that means you have a conscience.
Right.
One thing that I read was that, he was in a daze when he went to the graveyards, and so I read something a little different. He went to the 3 graveyards, Plainfield Cemetery, Spiritland Cemetery, and the other one that started with an H. Hancock Cemetery. He went to those about 40. He went to them about 40 times.
Yeah.
So he just went to those 3. He didn't go to 40 different ones, but he visited.
I said 40 different ones, my bad.
Yeah. Because you were like, I'm not going to name all 40. I was like, I don't think there was 40.
This story that tripped me the fuck out.
Okay, so he went
40
to the
different
He went
times,
there about
absolutely.
40 times.
Yeah.
And then about 30 of the 40 times, he ended up getting out of his days and going back.
Going home.
Or not actually digging up anything.
I don't believe him.
Now, I did read, too, that his favorite part was the vagina. And so what he would do, he would wear female underwear, and he would put the vagina next to his own genitalia.
Yeah.
How does that work?
He said he just put the vagina like on top of his. I mean, but
I think
if a
he
man's
probably
penis
inserted
is,
it.
Ew.
He probably inserted himself into the vagina. And then,
my God.
and then he wore it around town. Well,
That's crazy.
a lot of I think he had confessed that he actually wanted to be a woman.
Yep, he did. So that's what he crafted.
So
that
it was
that skin
his
suit.
way.
Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah, no. He crafted that skin suit. Exactly. He crafted that skin suit so that he could literally be in the skin of a woman, and he had put this
he
on
said-
and
he
like
said he
traipsed
would- he would
around his property
prance around.
dancing. He loved it. He was feeling pretty. So he would put on the torso of the corset with the boobies.
The death mask.
Yep, the mask, the boobies, and the corset, the
And he said-
leggings.
he said that he would go
everything.
and prance the graveyard.
Oh, child. Can you imagine a crazy man out there with his, I don't know, robbing grave kit tools, just prancing in the graveyard.
With
looking for
dead
friends?
skin.
Like, that's just crazy. And I also find it crazy how this whole time Ed wanted to be a woman and he couldn't tell his mother. The one person who was trying to instill in him a hatred for women, and he himself wanted to be a woman.
Well, maybe that's why he wanted to be a woman, so he could see what the hell his mother was talking about, since he couldn't go talk to women.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe, yeah. Or maybe he actually, maybe like
He couldn't be friends
in
with
these
them.
times today, maybe he would have been trans.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have become, I feel better in a woman's body. Maybe he would have actually become a woman, but he didn't have the resources to do that at the time. He was told that it's a sin. He can't, women are harlots. Not
And
to
that would
date
explain
anybody.
why he never really acted on his urges like his brother. Because even though he wanted to feel the touch of a woman, it could have been for other reasons, because he wanted to be a woman. Mm-hmm. So he just kind of envied them. And he's just like, I just want to touch you because I want to.
Yes, because he even said that they asked him, well, did you have sex with any of these corpses?
He said
he said no, they smelled too bad. He said they smelled too bad. Mm-hmm. So
he was a trans woman, yeah.
But I think he did admit to masturbating.
Yeah. I think his mother's hatred too. I think it played a part in it, because even at a young age, he probably was just like, "Why does she hate these creatures so much?"
Maybe he was he was like very intrigued. Like, well, let's see what it's like to be her or be a her.
And that's not to say like he never would have been trans if she had no part in it. But I think that I definitely like kind of piqued some curiosity. Like, why you hate them so much?
Mm-hmm. Hell, she was a harlot,
like,
probably.
What is she dealing with?
Maybe she was a harlot. Maybe she was a harlot before she married his father.
Yeah.
She sounds like she was an old, miserable woman who shackled up with an alcoholic, and she kind of regretted everything in her life choice. And she was just like, I'm unhappy, so I'm make everybody around me unhappy. I have no control in my life, so I'm going to control my 2 boys as best as I can. Because you guys are all I have. I don't like your daddy. Now he dead. Y'all are all I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got to keep them to herself.
Women and their sons. So many stories. I'll be quiet though.
Woof.
Because I can write a book on that.
Oh, we both can, you know? Oh, we
Ooh,
both can.
child.
Women and their sons.
Their weird obsessions
that
with their
weird
sons.
obsession, yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, let's not get off track. Anyway.
That's a story for another day, or
I mean, yeah, it's for another day.
okay.
So even though I wasn't able to figure out who Ed dug up and used their bodies as trophies, I was able to find two people when he told the police that he had dug up these bodies. They didn't believe him. They did not believe him, and so what they did was they exhumed two bodies. Eleanor Adams and Mabel Everson, and both caskets were empty. But one casket did have dentures and a ring, like a finger ring, on top of the soil. So that made them believe Ed. Yeah, that made them believe Ed.
They were like, "Oh shit, okay."
Right? Because I'm feeling the same way. Like, oh shit, you really did dig up these
You're
damn
for real.
bodies. Okay, but where did they think he would have got the bodies from? Because yes, there were people that was missing, but that little girl that they thought he killed, it was someone else that some Senate guy. So it was not him. They figured out who killed her. So where did y'all really think he got the bodies from, or all this skiing from? I wonder.
So, along with some of the other things that were found in the house, just kind of want to add some details I found about the chairs that were made with
with the
human
skin?
skin. Yeah, so some of the chairs he had upholstered himself with that human skin. Some of the chairs were reported to actually be lumpy on the other side, the underside of the chair, from like the fat from the skin. And the skin,
So he was sloppy about skinning.
he wasn't really necessarily doing a good job. We don't want to give him that much credit. Like, he wasn't that crafty. He was just kind of
Oh, now he wasn't
throwing
that
shit
crafty.
I guess you
together.
still get to keep your title, Rachel.
Right, she's the
Oh,
crafty
now he
queen
wasn't
now.
that crafty. No.
He had also made a sheath for a knife and a tom-tom that he fashioned over a large can.
Tom.
Yeah, so he actually used this thing as a drum. I don't know how he used it or whatever, but he made himself a tom-tom, okay? Beautiful. They had
Wow.
also found in total about 10 heads that were placed throughout the home, either as decoration or just kind of like tossed around.
Here's the head.
Laying whatever. There was one under the couch. It was just kind of a thing to him that he just had around.
Yeah, that's how they figured out Mary.
God,
That's how
that
they
house
found
must
Mary.
smelled really bad.
It did. They said it smelled horrible.
It was full
and
of
that is
flies.
how they found Mary when they went to look for Bernice. That's how they found Mary. But guess what he did with Mary? He skinned her face and made a mask, a death mask out of Mary's face. And they found her head in a
box?
a bag.
Like a paper bag.
Oh, okay. Wait, who
Yeah.
head was in the box?
So
Somebody's
they
head
said
was in the box.
So I read it was like a burlap bag.
Bernice Worden's head was in a burlap sack. They found her, obviously, they raided the home the same day after she went missing. So she goes missing. Frank, his son, comes, sees that she's missing. He sees the pool of blood. He sees the receipt from the last bill of sale, which was Ed Gein. They go to investigate the house. It wasn't until like 4 a.m. that day that they had actually found Bernice Worden's head. And the thing that was kind of messed up about it was found in a burlap sack tucked between two old mattresses, apparently. And it said that the sack was actually steaming because it was still warm. And he had taken Bernice Worden's head. He pounded nails into each side, into the ear canals. He took the nails, what was sticking out of her ears still, and bent them into hooks and kind of made like little makeshift hooks. And he attached those hooks to twine, and he later said that he had planned to hang her up like decoration.
Oh.
So kind of hang it up in the house as a trophy
like
or
a
a
triangle
decoration.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so a hook on each ear and hang her up.
He's gonna do a little twine. Oh,
Little
no.
twine, yeah. A little bit of twine.
My goodness, Ed.
Right.
Put a little hat on her. Okay.
Yeah, a little hat.
Cool.
Yeah.
But that was sad about Mary though. They found her. She went missing 1954, and they didn't find her until 1957 when they found Bernice.
Mm-hmm.
That's really sad.
So I remember when she went missing, it was a big deal in the town, and he would kind of make jokes about it, like, "Yeah, Mary, she's not missing. She's over
hanging
at
in my house."
farm."
But they thought he was because let's give Ed just a tiny bit. Look, you see how close my fingers are together? A tiny bit of credit. They thought that he was this really cool guy, and he wouldn't do anything like that. So when he said, "Oh yeah," he was talking to some guy that he was working with. He had said that she's not missing, she's hanging at the house. And the guy, I seen an interview with him. He was just like, "Yeah, sure is. Sure, she's at your house. Yeah, sure. Okay." Like, that's what he said.
Sure.
And because he said he didn't think of him to be no evil person like that. He would not put him in that category of evilness.
Yep. One thing that I want to kind of talk about was when they went to go find Ed Gein, they found him at a neighbor's house, and apparently his neighbor's house was his friend who was a teenage boy named Bobby Hill.
Bobby.
Right, Bobby. Bobby lived at home with his parents, so he was basically visiting Bobby at his parents' house when he was found and arrested. Bobby had later claimed that he had seen some of the heads at his house. Ed Gein had actually busted them out and was like, "Oh, look at these heads I got." But he had a little story for it. He stated that the heads were given to him by his cousin who served in the Philippines during World War II. So they were given to him. He just had these heads. Bobby just kind of knew, yeah, he has these heads. His parents knew. They didn't really think anything of it. They were just like, "Oh, Ed, yeah, he would have some heads. Sure." They're giving them to him by his cousin. Sure. Sure.
So they just didn't.
They
They just
ask
didn't
questions.
believe it. Yeah, they just
Yeah.
whatever. They wrote everything off like, "Oh yeah, sure, Ed. Yeah, sure
Yeah.
you do."
Sure. Yeah, it was just kind of there was a lot of clues, a lot of things that he said that would, could have incriminated himself, but everyone just kind of wrote him off like, he's an oddball.
I mean, that's a big ass clue. "Oh yeah, Mary's not missing. She's hanging in my house." Well, she was.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened after he got caught then at the friend's house?
At the friend's house is when they actually walked in. They found the body of Bernice and all of these stuff that they found. So just to kind of recap, November 16th is when Bernice Worden was killed and taken to his home. And November 18th, just 2 days later, he became an instant celebrity. Everyone knew what happened at this point. People started coming to the house to check it out. They wanted to know what was going on. Now we get to the part having to do with the interrogation. One of the cops that came to the scene was named Art Schlee. Art was the one of the cops who ended up finding Bernice Worden hanging upside down in the barn. And as soon as he saw her, he ran out of the barn to throw up.
Yeah.
He puked. And it's this cop that actually, in order to get a confession out of Ed Gein, he had taken Ed Gein's head and beat it against a brick wall until he confessed.
Thug life.
Right? Later, though, having known that the confession was forced out in this manner, it was deemed inadmissible in court.
Yes.
So they then had to get a new confession, but how could they do it? They already had a confession, but they couldn't use it. While trying to get a confession out of Ed Gein, he did actually ask for a few things before he would confess. He asked for some apple pie with cheddar cheese.
Was he pregnant?
Right. I guess
I've seen a couple pies made with cheese, so I'm not understanding the whole cheese thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it is
It's a Plainfield
something.
thing.
Yeah,
It's a
if
Wisconsin
it's a Wisconsin thing that we don't know about. I had heard about like one of those weird like little kid books that's like weird laws in every state, and one of them was like, in Wisconsin it's against the law to serve apple pie without cheese, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Apparently it was a thing. He asked for apple pie with cheddar cheese on it, so he got it. And
then
he even said after he ate it, he actually said to them, this cheddar cheese is kind of dry.
Ooh.
I need y'all to go out and give me some fresh cheese, and then I'll
Beggars
confess.
I need some good
choosy, But I guess they
cheese.
was the one begging for the dang on confession. So
Dry cheese or not, he did confess to the murders as well as the grave robbing, having taken the bodies from Plainfield Cemetery, Spiritland Cemetery, and Hancock Cemetery, just like Rachel said. He also stated that he would take whatever parts he didn't use and put them back at the
so
grave site.
kind.
Right. So he takes the whole body, he takes it home, takes what he needs, makes a chair, makes a lampshade, whatever.
Really?
And then whatever parts he doesn't use, he decides to put it back.
So
As-
thoughtful.
you know, maybe it's out of respect for the body. Maybe he was just guilty. Who knows? And as you said, as Rachel said, at first authorities didn't believe that he was able to do these things that he was claiming, robbing the graves, since he was so skinny. He didn't necessarily appear to be strong. They were like, there's no way that this guy can dig 6 feet down into the dirt and steal a dead body, carry it out,
Right.
and then put the dirt back in.
Especially because he was still in healthy women. Like, he was still in thicker women.
thicker,
Yeah,
yeah.
he liked the bigger ladies.
Yeah.
He did like Rachel said, he did exhume the grave sites. They exhumed the grave sites of 2 victims. The one with Eleanor Adams, which is kind of weird, her tombstone had her name on it and it just said mother. So I don't know if that's something that appealed to him, that said mother, or what. Anywho, they did find that those graves were indeed empty. And for Mabel's grave, they did find a few things about, a couple feet down that he had reburied, including a wedding band. They also found out that you really only need to dig about 2 feet before you reach anything. So they dig 2 feet, right? And back in the day, I think it's not like this anymore. They're more encased in like concrete, but there was only 2 feet down, there was a wooden box where the casket was enclosed in. So all Ed Gein really had to do was dig down about the 2 feet and then use a crowbar or some similar kind of tool to just pry open the wood. And he could jump in and grab what he wanted. Having said that, he did go on November 21st, 1957. He went before Waushara County Court and pled not guilty by reason of insanity. So, having said that, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and was deemed unfit to stand trial. So he was then detained at the Wisconsin Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, where he stayed for 10 years. And he loved it. He loved it. He thrived there. He was described as mild-mannered. He helped out. He did a bunch of shit there. After 10 years at the mental hospital, he was finally deemed fit to stand trial. And that trial took place November 7th of 1968, dang near close to the anniversary of Bernice Worden's murder. And during this trial, he was only tried for the murder of Bernice Worden. He was not tried for the murder of Mary Hogan. The simple reason for this was money. The county didn't really have the money to try him for the 2 murders, and they thought that the one would be enough. I don't know. Had that logic, but still, he did confess to Mary Hogan's murder anyway, but he was only tried for the 1.
I don't like that.
Exactly. And that's a pattern that we've been seeing a lot.
Damn Waushara County.
I don't like that. He killed Mary. Her body is on his perimeter. Her body was at his house. He skinned her face off.
He was the last person to see her alive.
He was the last person to see her alive. He was in her bar. What?
It was a whole other case. They would have had to pay like a whole other amount of money. I don't know if
I
they
guess
just
they figured he's
didn't
already
have
locked
the
up.
money.
Let's just go the cheapest route.
Unfortunately, it would have been nice for the family to have some closure.
Exactly. That's what.
They didn't
Okay.
care about that.
Mm-mm.
I really don't think so. They'd be like, well, he'll get, he'll be put away anyway.
He'll
type
be
of
put away for
thinking.
Bernice.
Mm-hmm.
So did they even bring up Mary then?
I don't think so. It was only
Wow.
for Bernice. On November 14th, 1968, almost 11 years to the day he killed Bernice Worden, which was on November 16th, he was found guilty of first-degree murder and was indeed found to be insane at the time, as his judgment was based on a world of fantasy at the time that he committed the murders. And so, during this year, I will also add, 1968, Art Schlee, the one that banged his head against the brick wall, had also died this year due to heart issues. And his colleagues had stated that the stress of having to deal with this case is what caused his health problems and ultimately killed him. Since Ed Gein was found insane, he was recommitted back to the hospital that he loved so much, where he continued to live his best life. In 1974, fun fact, he actually petitioned to be freed, but this was denied.
Raggedy bitch.
Right. He was hardly back in there. It was 1968. He was found guilty. So 6 years later, just 6 years later after being found guilty, he petitioned to be let free. So
But
obviously this was
didn't you say
denied.
he living his best life in this damn institute? What you
Yeah.
mean to be free for? It sounds like you're free already.
Who knows? Who knows? He loved it.
Because he's forced to be a man in this space.
Yeah.
So he probably wanted to get free so we can get some more women's skin. I don't know.
Right.
Just buy a bra and stuff it, Ed. Like, jeez.
Right. Right.
You gotta sit there. Never mind.
But it's
Thank
just
you.
like what y'all said.
There were no
It's like what
vaginas
y'all
that he could
said,
wear
though.
under his underwear.
He wanted to feel, be in the skin of a woman.
Oh yeah, one fun thing about the box of vaginas, one of them was painted silver. He had apparently treated a bunch of them with like salt to try and preserve them so that they wouldn't decompose, and one of them was painted silver. So I don't know if it was an experiment or what he was trying to do. Another one, apparently Bernice Worden's vagina, he had wrapped in a red ribbon. So I don't know if he had some weird attachment
You know
to
what?
her.
He is getting on my damn nerves.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
He painted the box silver or the vagina
The
silver?
vagina, the whole
Well, I
vulva.
mean, I guess you could say the box.
He painted the box inside of the box.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that.
So,
Oh, he's so nasty.
he spent the rest of his days living his dream until he died on July 26th, 1984 of lung cancer. He was 77 years old, and he was ultimately buried at Plainfield Cemetery, where he had robbed from. So everything came back full circle. In the year 2000, apparently someone stole his tombstone. I don't know if it was replaced or what, but the story ends with good old Eddie.
And I heard that the following year they actually found the tombstone and they put it in the museum
Yeah, it's
in Wasara
it's
County.
safe,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's safe.
So I don't know if he has any markings on his grave that were replaced, but the tombstone at least was recovered and now it's in the museum. Yeah.
All right. Apparently someone had wanted to take the house and turn the whole house into a museum. But in 1968, someone had actually lit the home on fire and burned the house down. And when he was told that the house had been burned down, he just shrugged and was like, just as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he just...
But the town, the citizens of this town, the residents of this town, when that house burned down, they felt a sense of joy, like a weight lifting off of their shoulders. Even though Plainfield is what did you call it? A death heart?
the cold, dead heart.
The cold, dead heart
Rude.
of Wisconsin. But one woman, I heard her say that she
Great
just,
dead heart.
yeah, she felt relieved that house was gone, because then they wouldn't be, bombarded with tourists. They wouldn't have to share their space with a bunch of people like us
With those memories.
that want to see this absolute hellhole, because that's what it is. That's what it is. It was a hellhole. So
Yeah, Lord knows my dumbass would want to go there. I'd be like, I want to go see it.
Right.
It's a piece of history.
yeah, that woman, she said they were very happy that
Yeah.
the house was burned down.
And did y'all hear about what happened to the car too? in 1958, the car that he used to transport the bodies, it was actually sold at a public auction for $760. And it went to a carny sideshow named Bunny Gibbons.
Yeah.
Bunny!
So
And
this guy
Gibbons-
just show off that damn
Yep, he
car.
used it as an attraction, and he charged carnival goers 25 cents admission.
Yeah, he
see
to go in the
definitely-
tent to see this car.
He made a killing, that's for sure. I heard.
And then his sign say something like, see the car that transported, over 40 corpses or something to say. The banner, rather.
Yep, he made its rounds to the county fairs, and he made a ton of money off of it. And yeah, that's good. Turning it into entertainment. On that note, he was definitely a big inspiration for a lot of horror movies. Shortly after that, there was a book being written called Psycho, which used Ed Gein as inspiration, which was then turned into a movie directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Him and I have the same birthday. Hey, I love Alfred Hitchcock. But everyone knows the movie Psycho. Norman Bates and his mother, Norma Bates. And if you watch Bates Motel, the mom's name is Norma. It's a good show. So the movie's Psycho, but there was just recently a show also called Bates Motel, which is really good.
Okay, that do sound familiar.
Yeah. The character Norman Bates, totally based off of Ed Gein. And Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface based off of Ed Gein.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely makes a lot more sense to me now since I've read this story in and out and all about. At least that's how I feel. I've read so much. I really feel like that movie makes a lot of sense now. The whole home scene, when they went in that kitchen and the organs in the damn refrigerator and all that nasty ass shit in that house. When they went to the supermarket, that dead ass.
Even just the
pig.
picture, if you look up Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just the picture of Leatherface, that's like obvious. He's wearing a mask made out of skin. It's definitely taken right from the story of Ed Gein.
It's definitely taken from it. Yes. It
Another
makes a lot more
character was Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, which I talk about a lot. Silence of the Lambs, definitely taken from him as well. One cool thing that I would have loved to get my hands on while doing research for this was a book called Deviant, written by Harold Schechter, who's a true crime writer. He wrote a whole book on the whole story. And so it might be kind of cool if we did like a book club, if we read the book and then we could talk about it in another episode.
Let's do it.
That'd be really cool. And just some other things. He says that killing Bernice Worden was a mistake. Apparently he didn't mean it, whatever. And he doesn't remember killing Mary Hogan, which could very well be true since he claims that he was in a daze when he did these things and he didn't remember them. But who knows? On to our cold-hearted question. Woo, woo, woo. Cold-hearted question. If you had a dead body of a horrible, evil person, just trying to make it easy for you. Think like you had the dead body of Hitler right there, okay? And you had to get crafty and use the body to make something. What would it be? Think clothing, furniture, accessories, anything. Just not food because we kind of already covered food in a previous episode.
Okay, I go.
Okay.
Okay, because I didn't have a lot of time to think about this one. So the first thing that came to my mind, if we talking like Hitler or something, I want this person to be alive during this whole process. So keep in mind, yeah. So I would cut off his manhood, his member. Right,
Okay.
right.
We're getting to the murder too.
Yeah. We get into the murder and the usage of the body part. So I'm gonna paint my walls black. Right. That's my favorite color. So I'm painting my bedroom walls black. He's already tied in the corner, right? I've already cut his manhood off. I'm going to buy a big old can of bright red paint. I'm going to use the member as a stamp Okay, right? So I'm going to dip it in the red paint and I'm going to stamp it on the wall and I'm going to use his body parts.
You're going to have dictures.
We could print that and make wallpaper out of it.
Period.
Blood Sisterz wallpaper.
That's
Just
what
bloody
I would
dicks.
do. Bloody dick wallpaper.
Paper.
Oh,
$20.99
per square foot. We're broke.
Okay. That's what I would do. Who next?
I actually will gut you out and
Why are you looking at me when you said that?
I'm just saying. I'll gut you out.
What the hell I do?
I'll gut this evil person out and stuff them and then dress them up as a scarecrow and put them on the porch.
No one will know the wiser.
I like that.
Wow, that's a really realistic scarecrow, Rachel. That's really good. Where'd you get it?
I like it. I like it.
That's what I would do.
Nice.
And then I would grind up the insides just like Ed did and then give it to my neighbors as venison. You know he did that, right? Well,
Did he?
neighbors think that's what he did, but you know Ed was not.
They was paranoid.
Right,
They ain't do that. They was
I don't
paranoid.
think so.
But
It was
they
actual
found-
venison and shit.
They found it. Yeah, they
Ed
found
gave them some
entrails
venison
in the home.
and they're just like, oh my gosh, we ate people.
If they know what venison tastes like, they know it's not people.
Right. They irritated. They was like,
I don't
I
believe
think I
that shit for a
tasted
second.
Mary Hodgins. Like, no, you didn't. Shut your ass up.
I think they made up all kinds of stories, but I really do feel like that might be one of them. They felt,
Yeah.
so bad because they were accomplices to murder.
Lord. Christina, what would you do?
So I have a few things. I don't want to waste. So I have a couple things that I want to do. Okay, let's say I have the head. Similar to how Ed Gein used the bowl to eat his pork and beans, right? He made the bowl. I would like to use that bowl as a flower pot. I could plant some flowers in it and set it in my home. As
that'd be
a
cool.
nice little centerpiece. So that'd be pretty cool. Make a little
be. I like
skull
that.
centerpiece with a plant in there. I could also use the nose. The nose has, 2 nostrils. I could use it as a little propagation station. Take a little cutting of a plant, I'm getting excited, put some water in the nostrils, and then place the little cutting in there so it can start to grow some roots and make some new plants.
Right.
Okay.
All right? And then with COVID going on and everything, it would be really, really useful to be able to make a mask, right?
Yep.
So we got the mask. I can take the skin off of the face.
Period.
The skin might have COVID.
That
gonna
skin's
clean it.
dead.
I don't like we're going to clean it.
It's already dead. We're gonna clean
Hell
it.
no.
We're gonna treat it so that it's nice and preserved. It's gonna be a little dry. We're gonna oil it up a little bit so it stays nice and
A
supple.
little shea butter.
Yeah, a little shea butter. Yeah, I don't know what else. Almond oil, whatever. All type of oil would be really
Sounds
good in there. Yeah. Make a mask out of it. So it would be like, wow, that's a great looking mask you got. It looks like a face. Thanks.
It is.
Yeah.
Period.
And then they'll just be like, kind of like Ed Gein. Mary's down at my farm. They'll be like, oh, Ed. I'll be like, yeah, that's great. It's a real face. They'll be like, oh, Christina. And I'll be like, LOL.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh my God. I'm so grossed out.
So guys, make sure for interaction purposes, we want to see you answer these cold-hearted questions every week. So this week, think, of course, if you had to use the body of someone who's horrible, like you're doing a service to the world, what part would you use and how?
Please leave a comment. That would be amazing. We can totally share it on our upcoming episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll pick a comment and we'll share what you said on our upcoming episode. So guys,
Don't take my idea. Don't take my scarecrow idea.
don't take Rachel's scarecrow idea or
That's
she'll come
mine.
and find you. But yeah, make sure you guys are going back and whenever you're listening to any old episodes, answer these cold-hearted questions. We're literally putting them out there for you guys. So don't be shy to answer them. No one will think you're weird. You hear half the shit we say. So
You're safe here. No worries.
this is a safe space. You can be
It is.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, look who done made it to the end of another episode of Blood Sisterz Podcast.
You did.
Damn. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We gotta get these interactions up, guys. So we love you so much for listening.
We do.
We really,
We
really
love you
do.
long
really,
time.
really do.
We really do.
Bless your hearts.
I'm Natasha Carr with
Christina Mata.
Rachel Shuri.
Flirting with Darkness and promoting weird brown girl joy. Until next time.
Toodles.
Peace.